Not too long ago, I had a father call the Center for Grief and Healing because he needed to share with his young daughter that his wife had died. And so he asked me to kind of walk him through that. How would he share it? What kind of things would he say? And so I really talked to him about some age-appropriate explanations for where she is developmentally, but of course that he needed to talk about what happened. He needed to tell her, and he said to me, I don't want to tell her because I know I'm going to change her life forever. I think that really highlights that experience for parents. We want to protect them. We don't want them to feel the pain of this grief experience. But we can't stop that because grief also brings pain. We are now entering into our 30th year of providing grief support to children who are grieving the loss of a parent or sibling, grandparent, anyone that they love. The model of the program is pairing the child with a special friend, and these special friends are high school or college age young people who volunteer and go through training on grief and loss and knowing how to come alongside the children in this process. To give them a space to feel what they're feeling. And what will happen is instinctively they will be drawn towards the play or drawing something that helps them process through and make sense of that. This is a place where they're also going to get honest answers about things and be allowed to process that without interruption, right? And that can be difficult when they process it with a parent because instinctively they don't want them to hurt, so you want to make them better, which sometimes interrupts their process. So the space that they can say, I'm really sad that I don't have Dad to take me to the father-daughter dance. And we know we can't make that okay, so we can let them talk about that and what that means for them. Heinz has been providing support to children in grief now for 30 years. We estimate we've provided care to over 1,500 grieving children and close to 15,000 hours of support. And one of the things that has occurred is that children who are now high school age or young adults who went through the program when they were grieving the loss of someone that they loved have now come back, and we call them our legacy volunteers. And so now they've come back and are a special friend to a child who is newly bereaved.
Before Circle of Friends, I was just lost. I didn't want to talk about it to my peers because they didn't know what I was going through. And I also didn't want to be the pity story of my school. So I kept it in.
I want to emphasize on the fact that kids at a young age, they don't have our mental capacity to process these events, how we would process them, how we would think how to handle and cope with it. They process things differently.
After 3 years of just not knowing what to do, basically, my grandma decided to enroll myself as well as my brothers into Circle of Friends. And going to the first session, I was already in the mind that I wouldn't like it. But after the first session, I fell in love with it. I looked forward to going to Circle of Friends every week.
And I think at Circle of Friends, it's awesome because you're pairing up the kids with individuals, one who not only want to help them, but who may also have that experience of losing a loved one. And you're just able to connect with these kids even more, and they feel that connection. So it motivates them to talk more, motivates them to open up more, and it just helps them cope with their loss.
That's what's good about Circle of Friends. It's like an open space where you can discuss about your loss, and you can talk about your feelings. I felt that at home I didn't really get that opportunity.
As soon as you walk in, it's welcoming. It's friendly.
You're going into a room with board games, with crayons, with colored markers, with fun stuff.
You're safe. Whatever you say, you can say without judgment.
There would be times where what I shared would bring up feelings and I would start crying. But then there would be other weeks where we wouldn't talk about death. We would just talk about ourselves and our situations and such, and we would be playing games and laughing. It's just different parts of the grieving process.
It's healing, not just for the child that I'm helping, but also for me as well. Because I do relate, and I know how crucial and vital these sessions could be for them, and how vital they could have been for me.
After Circle of Friends, I felt that it was easier for me to talk to people. It was easier for me to open up with my family, and it definitely made me the person I am today.
We all need help, and we need to encourage and promote that support that maybe we cannot give, but Heinz Hospice can, Circle of Friends can.
After my dad died, I was enrolled into therapy, but I felt that Circle of Friends was much more effective because I felt I can relate more with my special friend.
I feel like I finally have the space to talk about what I'm going through, or what I went through. We see Circle of Friends as the mentors are helping the kids, but it's also the kids are helping the mentors, and they don't even know that.
If I wouldn't have done Circle of Friends, I feel like I would have missed out on the grieving process and how to fully cope. If it wasn't for Circle of Friends, I probably wouldn't have been able to fully cope to this day.
My name is Abraham Magana, and I am a Circle of Friends volunteer with Heinz Hospice.
My name is Araam Granera, but I go by AJ. I'm 16 years old, and I went through the Circle of Friends program, and 6 years later, I am now fortunate enough to be able to volunteer with Circle of Friends.